Have you ever felt that quiet whisper within you, that kind of persistent, gentle nudge towards, well, a different kind of life?
Mm-hmm.
Not just, changing jobs or moving house, but something deeper, a profound, maybe soul-deep transformation.
Yeah, something that really aligns with those secret dreams, the ones you kind of push down sometimes.
Exactly. The ones you've held on to, maybe tucked away for way too long. What if this year, like right now, was that year?
The pivot year.
Yeah. The one where everything truly shifted. Not just moving things around on the surface, but, from the inside out.
Okay, I'm with you.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be unlocking the wisdom of a book that speaks directly to that exact feeling. Brianna Wiest's The Pivot Year, 365 Days to Become the Person You Truly Want to Be. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, great, another self-help book, I want you to just pause for a second.
Yeah, I hold that thought.
Because this isn't really about quick fixes or superficial changes or like a rigid set of rules you have to follow.
Not at all. It's deeper.
It's something much more profound. It feels more like an invitation, really. An invitation to a radical inner transformation.
And that's exactly what we want to do today with this deep dive, isn't it? Our mission is really to immerse ourselves in the core wisdom of the pivot year.
Right.
We're here to unpack the most important sort of nuggets of knowledge that Brianna Wiest offers, explore what they really mean, their deeper meaning.
Yeah, get under the surface.
Exactly. And crucially, make them really easy and hopefully kind of fun for you to understand. We really want to enlighten and motivate you listening right now to not just hear these lessons, but to start genuinely implementing them, putting them into practice in your own life.
Because like you said, it's not just rearranging the furniture on the deck.
Right. It's about fostering that transformation from within, something that really resonates with who you truly are, your truest self.
Okay, so let's dive right in then. Let's unpack this right from the introduction, because Wiest, she doesn't really hold back, does she?
No, she comes out strong.
She starts with this incredibly powerful declaration. She says, I hope this is the year you change your life, not in the superficial way, not in the way that aligns you most closely with all of the traditional emblems of success. I mean, right off the bat, she's telling us, forget the shiny objects for a minute.
Yeah, look beyond the usual check boxes.
Look beyond the societal scorecard.
And what immediately jumps out, for me anyway, is how she draws such a clear line right there.
Yeah.
This isn't about chasing external validation or, society's often pretty narrow definition of what success looks like.
Right.
She's pointing towards something much more intimate, more internal, something that almost feels preordained in a way.
How so?
Well, she describes those quiet dreams that have lingered for so long as actually echoes of parallel lives, sister stories asking you to tell them.
Oh, wow.
Asking you to leap toward them, to move them out of your mind and into a touchable physical reality.
That's beautiful. It reframes those dreams completely.
It really does. It reframes our deepest desires, not just as like fleeting wishes, but as inherent parts of who we are. Almost like forgotten blueprints of the person you're truly meant to become.
Okay.
So the profound insight there, I think, is that your deepest desires aren't just external wants. They're internal echoes of your truest self, just waiting to be brought into the world.
Wow.
It's a call to uncover what's already inside you,
Right.
rather than constantly striving for something you think is missing outside.
That is such a powerful reframing. And she contrasts it so brilliantly, doesn't she? That common feeling of smiling beside your accomplishments, but feeling so pinched with guilt and regret.
Oh, yeah. That hits home for a lot of people, I think.
Right. Versus changing life in the ways you have always secretly wanted to. I mean, just listening to that, for you listening right now, which one of those really resonates more deeply?
Yeah.
It's like this invitation to just be radically honest with yourself. Choose the path of maybe quiet fulfillment over that loud but ultimately unfulfilling success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And notice how she immediately puts the power, the agency for this change, squarely in your hands.
Right. She doesn't say, I'll fix you.
No. She emphasizes, I hope that this is the year that you change your life in only the way you can, with the power only you have. She says, I can't do it for you. The words can't do it for you. They can only encourage and guide you like an old friend.
Like an old friend, I like that.
Yeah. It highlights that, okay, her words are maybe the compass, the map, but the actual power to make the shift, the will, the courage, the day-to-day effort,
Yeah.
that belongs entirely to you.
So you're not waiting for some magic bullet.
Exactly. You're not waiting for someone else to fix you or give you the formula. You are the architect of your own pivot, which makes the insight pretty clear. True transformation isn't prescribed from the outside. It's self-authored.
That is such a key distinction. It's not an instruction manual. It's more like a supportive companion on the journey.
Yeah.
And she deepens that focus on the inner world, urging us not to be afraid to go inward, the space from which your entire life is born.
And this is really foundational, isn't it? Runs through the whole book. It suggests that real sustainable change doesn't come from external pressures or trying to fit into someone else's mold or, living up to expectations that were never yours to begin with.
Right.
It originates from within, from your core values, your inner knowing, those deep desires we were just talking about.
So if your external life grows from that inner space,
then transforming your life has to start by understanding and cultivating that inner space first.
right,
It's about lining up your actions on the outside with your truth on the inside.
makes sense.
So the ultimate insight here, I think, is genuine, lasting transformation is fundamentally an inside job. You build your outer reality from the bedrock of your inner truth, not from what everyone else says it should look like.
Okay, here's a line that really just jumped off the page for me. It totally resonated.
Go on.
I hope that this is the year you discover that the floor does not only hold up if you remain where you are standing. With each step you take and wherever you may go, it will rise to meet you, as it always has, as it always does.
Wow.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? Because it challenges that instinct we all have to just stay put, play it safe.
Oh, absolutely. That image is incredibly profound. It's like a core message of trust and courage.
Yeah, definitely courage.
It directly confronts our fear of the unknown, right? That fear of leaving what's comfortable or what seems reasonable.
We love reasonable.
We do.
Yeah.
Our conditioning tells us, have a plan. See the whole staircase before you dare take the first step.
Right.
But Wiest is encouraging us to defy that, to build sense in a world of your own design.
I like that phrasing.
It's an invitation to trust that life or the universe, whatever you want to call it, will actually support your authentic path.
Yeah.
Even when it feels, terrifyingly uncertain.
Yeah.
The profound implication is that the support you need isn't static, waiting for you to arrive. It dynamically appears as you move forward.
Not before you start.
Right. Not before you even begin. So maybe for you listening, what does it actually mean to trust life to meet you, even when you can't see the next step clearly? How might leaning into that trust free you up from needing certainty all the time?
That's a huge question to just sit with. And it actually leads us perfectly into day one, because Wiest immediately reinforces this whole idea of courage and presence. She writes, "The courage with which you enter today will become the fate that you meet tomorrow."
Boom. Right there, day one.
Yeah. It's a direct call to be aware, right here, right now, in the present moment. It's about engaging fully with this moment, not getting lost in yesterday or worrying about tomorrow.
Precisely. She highlights that fundamental choice we face every single morning, really.
Which is,
Will you continue to replay the memories of yesterday, or will you meet the moment and make the most of what is in front of you now? It's not about, forcing your will onto the future or trying to control every outcome. It's more about choosing to arrive fully into each moment as it's presented to you.
arrive full.
Yeah. Which implies a kind of surrender to what is, but also an active, conscious engagement with the present. Being fully here, now, with whatever's in front of you, however messy or uncertain it feels.
Yeah.
So the key insight feels like your present moment engagement literally shapes your future reality. How you show up now matters.
And she uses such beautiful imagery for this. She says it's not about trying to, quote, build a clean one-line story for your life.
Right, it's like it's some perfect narrative.
Yeah, but instead to create a mosaic of experience, ever forming, ever evolving, ever unfolding.
The mosaic, I love that.
Me too. It feels so liberating because we put so much pressure on ourselves to have this clear linear path, don't we?
We really do. And it's a wonderful metaphor because it just acknowledges the inherent messiness, the complexity, the nonlinear nature of life and finding yourself.
Yeah.
A mosaic isn't a straight line. It's made of all these different, sometimes seemingly random pieces that, when you step back, form this beautiful, evolving whole. It suggests our true self doesn't fit into some fixed story, but it kind of unravels into reality, revealing at last the fragment of the universe that came to be known through you.
Wow. That's deep.
It is. It's an invitation to embrace the messy, unpredictable, but totally unique journey of becoming who you are, instead of striving for some flawless, predictable outcome. The insight being, life isn't a neat linear story. It's an unfolding mosaic. Embrace all the pieces.
That is incredibly motivating.
Yeah, because it frees us from that crushing pressure of needing a perfect, predetermined plan.
Right.
And it leads right into that powerful affirmation she ends day one with. You are exactly where you need to be. This is the perfect day to start your life again. So for you listening, maybe think, what tiny step, what micro step can you take today, right now, to really meet the moment, even if it's small, even if it feels imperfect? Maybe just taking one mindful breath before you reply to that stressful email, or really choosing to listen in a conversation instead of just planning what you're going to say next.
The small things.
The small acts of presence, they build the mosaic.
That's incredibly liberating. You are exactly where you need to be. What a powerful thought to hold on to.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of liberating thoughts, day 2 introduces a concept that, honestly, for a lot of us, myself included, feels completely backwards.
Okay, what is it?
There is great power in not knowing.
Ah, yes. The power of uncertainty.
Right, which directly challenges that deep need we have for certainty, for a clear map, for knowing what's next, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. From when we're kids, we're basically taught. Plan, set goals, always have the next step figured out.
Control is key.
Exactly. Our brains are literally wired for predictability, for safety, for control. So saying there is great power in not knowing just goes against decades of conditioning.
It feels uncomfortable.
Massively uncomfortable for many people. It feels vulnerable, maybe even irresponsible to not have the answers. But Wiest completely flips that.
How?
She argues that every given moment contains within it doorways of opportunity. And, crucially, when you choose to embrace not knowing what is next, you don't just fall into some void of chaos. No. She says you enter the realm of infinite potential.
Okay, infinite potential.
It's a radical reframe. Uncertainty isn't a threat. It's actually fertile ground where new possibilities can sprout. The insight being, surrendering your need for certainty opens the door to infinite potential.
Wow.
It means consciously choosing to continuously meet the ever-changing, ever-possible now, rather than living on autopilot, stuck in a script you wrote years ago that maybe doesn't even fit you anymore.
The challenge is trusting that, right? When everything in you wants the map.
That's the work, trusting the process even when you crave the detailed plan.
And then she uses this incredible image, the golden vortex.
Yes.
She says, when you finally admit that you do not know what is next, you enter the golden vortex, the space between everything you know you're meant for and anything you had previously imagined to be.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
It feels like this space of pure, unbridled possibility.
Yeah.
Like rich, fertile soil where new realities can actually take root.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful nudge to step into that uncomfortable space. That's the liminal zone, the in-between, where real innovation and authentic growth happen.
Because you've let go of the old plans.
Precisely. Because you've released the constraints of your preconceived ideas, your expectations, your rigid plans, is where your highest potential can meet possibilities you hadn't even dreamed of.
Okay.
So for you listening, maybe reflect. Where in your life are you resisting not knowing? Maybe it's about your career or a relationship or even just a creative project. What might open up if you just surrendered to that unknown just for a little while? How can you lean into that unknown today and trust that Golden Vortex might reveal something new, something more aligned?
That's a really potent challenge to embrace.
Yeah.
Speaking of challenges, day 5 brings in this really compelling metaphor about inner guidance versus all the external noise.
Oh, the two rivers.
Exactly. There are 2 rivers running through us at all times, she says. One that carries all the voices of the world, and the other a single voice that stands alone, the voice of our inner guide.
This feels so incredibly relevant today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In our hyper-connected, always-on, opinion-saturated world.
Totally. It's hard to hear yourself think sometimes.
It really is. And this metaphor is just so insightful. She describes that first river, the voices of the world, as strong, steady, and constant with its instruction, guidance, and forewarning.
That's the one pulling most of us along.
Yeah, it's the river made of societal expectations, media messages, family pressures, what everyone else thinks you should be doing. And it often leads to living, as she puts it, mindlessly being pulled to each milestone, each thing we were told to reach for, to achieve.
And
The consequence, she says, is pretty stark. Eventually, we look down and realize our hands are empty. Our lives were woven together by a storyline we didn't write.
Oof, that's heavy.
It is. The critical insight there is stark. Unchecked external voices can easily lead you down a path that isn't truly yours. You end up living someone else's life.
And the result of that, she points out, is often this fog of confusion, indecision, and uncertainty. We feel incapable of leading ourselves because the two rivers are shouting over one another.
Yeah, you're stuck.
You become consumed by the stiffness of trying to be what we are told. It's a feeling I think so many of us recognize, especially when facing big decisions. That internal noise just drowns everything out.
It's that internal conflict, that discord that leaves us feeling lost, even if on the outside we look like we've got it all together.
Right.
But here's the crucial part, the hopeful part.
Okay.
Despite how loud that first river can become, we can always hear the quiet call of the second.
The inner guide.
Yes, our intuition, our deepest knowing. And Wiest points out that the first realization of wisdom is the recognition that there is truth fragmented everywhere.
Meaning?
Meaning it's not about completely damming up one river and saying, okay, external world, you're bad.
Right. It's not black and white.
No, it's about discernment. The journey, she explains, isn't about abandoning one in favor of the other, but knowing when it's time to listen, to hear, and to follow each.
So it's a balance.
It's a delicate dance. A conscious choice to integrate useful external knowledge with your own internal wisdom. The profound insight being, your inner guide is always there, always accessible, even under all the noise. Learning to discern its voice is the key to finding your true direction.
Okay, that makes sense. But how?
Well, that raises the practical question for you listening. How can you get better attuned to that quiet call today? Even with all the external noise, social media, news, expectations, maybe it's carving out just 5 minutes of quiet reflection, or journaling, or even just giving yourself permission to pause before making a decision, letting your gut feeling speak.
What moment can you create just to listen?
Exactly. Just to practice that discernment.
That's a fantastic practical call to action, and so important for getting clear. Okay, shifting gears just a little. Day 3 offers a really powerful redefinition of happiness. It pushes back hard against the usual metrics we chase. She says, one day you will realize that happiness is not what your house looks like, but how you love the people within its walls.
Boom. Right there.
Yeah.
An immediate pivot from the material stuff to the relational, the internal.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly freeing, isn't it? Wiest goes on to list these true facets of happiness, moving right away from external achievements or possessions.
Like what?
Like finding something you love so much time itself seems to disappear, that flow state.
Yeah.
Or feeling so at peace within your own skin, quietly anticipating the day ahead, unconcerned with how you are perceived.
Wow, that's a big one.
Huge. And also the ability to make the best of anything, knowing you are doing what you can with what you were given. This just deeply challenges that common idea that happiness is some state you finally achieve when, every problem is solved and all things are perfectly in place.
Which never happens.
Right. Instead, she argues, it's found in the shining silver linings that remind us the light of day is always there if you slow down enough to notice.
If you slow down enough.
Yeah. The core insight feels like true happiness isn't some destination you reach through external accumulation. It's a state you cultivate through internal presence and appreciation. It's about being, not just having.
That is incredibly liberating because it means happiness isn't this far-off goal you have to hustle for constantly.
Exactly. It's available right here, the everyday stuff.
It's a choice, almost, a way of seeing. So for you listening, maybe think about moments of genuine, quiet happiness in your own life. The ones that align with these descriptions, not the ones tied to getting that promotion or buying that thing.
Yeah, take a moment to really feel that. Anchor yourself in that internal sense of peace, not the external validation.
Okay. Now, kind of in a similar vein, thinking about self-awareness and living intentionally, Day 4 introduces a really vital concept for self-protection. Self-protection is learning how to take a pause between what you feel and how you react.
Deceptively simple.
Right. Sounds easy, but the implications for just our daily lives are massive.
Oh, it's a really powerful tool for reclaiming your agency. Wiest makes it super clear. When there is no awareness between what you perceive and the way that you respond, anything can control you.
Anything.
Yeah. Without that conscious gap, that space, we're just reacting on autopilot, driven by old patterns, emotional triggers we haven't looked at, or just the immediate demands flying at us. The core advice is profoundly simple, but man, it requires immense consistent practice. practice the pause. Widen the space between what you sense and what you do about it.
What in the space?
Yeah. It's like building a psychological muscle. Moving from being just a passive receiver of stuff happening to you to being an active, conscious responder.
Yeah.
It's building that inner strength where your reactions become a choice, not just an impulse. The insight is huge. The space between stimulus and response is where your true power lies.
And she links it directly to our energy, doesn't she? Which is such a precious resource and often feels so depleted.
Yes. She says, decide what's worth your energy, because what you engage with is what you empower.
That's like a direct command. Be incredibly mindful about where you put your focus, your time, your emotional energy.
Yeah, it's a powerful filter for everything you do.
Definitely.
Your energy is your most valuable currency, right?
Yeah.
When you engage with something, whether it's a difficult conversation, a news headline, a social media argument, even just an internal worry loop, you are essentially giving it power in your life. You're empowering it. If you don't consciously choose where that energy goes, it just gets drained away by things that don't serve you, that don't align with who you want to be.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like, imagine you get a really frustrating email from a coworker. A totally reactive response might be to fire back an angry email, right? Which then escalates things and probably drains your energy for hours.
Been there.
We all have. But by practicing the pause, just taking a breath, you create space. You can choose to respond calmly later, or address it directly but constructively, or even decide, you know what, this isn't worth my immediate energy right now, and you preserve your inner peace.
Okay.
So for you, the listener, how can you consciously start integrating this pause into your daily life, your interactions, your responses to things that trigger you?
Maybe it's just that deep breath before hitting reply.
Exactly. Or a moment of reflection before jumping into a tough conversation. Or even just consciously not picking up your phone every single time it buzzes. Little pauses.
That's definitely a practice we can all start right away. Following that thread, day 8 really throws a wrench in our usual ideas of living life to the fullest.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Wiest declares, you may believe that living life to the fullest is seeing every country in the world and quitting your job on a whim and falling recklessly in love, but it's really just knowing how to be where your feet are.
Wow. Okay, that's a game changer, especially for anyone feeling like they're not doing enough or constantly chasing some big external adventure.
Right. It feels like pressure sometimes.
It really is a paradigm shift. She kind of strips away that glamorous, maybe Instagram-fueled version of living fully.
Totally.
And reveals its true, much more grounded components. It's about learning how to take care of yourself, how to make a home within your own skin. It's learning how to build a simple life you are proud of.
Ample life you're proud of.
Yeah, it shifts the focus completely, away from external grandness and performance, towards internal peace, self-sufficiency, and just genuine contentment in the day-to-day. The insight feels like. A full life is built from internal stability and presence, not external spectacle.
And she specifically notes the emphasis on those things that slowly assure you it's okay to slow down, that you don't always have to prove yourself, that you don't need to fight forever or constantly want more. It's like giving yourself permission to just breathe, to be.
Yeah, find richness not just in getting more, but in appreciating what's already here.
Which is such a countercultural message, isn't it? In a world constantly screaming, hustle, more, faster.
Absolutely. And this leads right into a core principle that seems to underpin a lot of her philosophy. Life can only grow outward in proportion to how stable it is inward.
Oh.
That if the joy is not in the little things first, the big things won't fully find us.
So it's not about not having big dreams.
Not at all. It's about building a solid, joyful foundation first. Finding contentment in the small things. It offers this really liberating view on what a rich, fulfilling life actually means. Redirecting our focus to internal peace and those simple, often overlooked joys that make up our days. Like that cup of coffee you actually taste, or a genuine laugh with a friend, or just the quiet satisfaction of doing something well. Finding fullness right where you are, instead of always putting it off until some perfect future arrives.
That really reframes everything. It grounds us. Okay, let's transition now into how we actually activate those deepest desires, our purpose. Because Wiest gives us a really fascinating way to look at that in day 6.
Okay, I'm ready.
She writes, you cannot desire what you do not already contain. Desire is a projection outward that is proportionate to potential inward.
Whoa. Okay, unpack that. That's transformative.
Right. It suggests our deepest longings aren't about lacking something, but about recognizing something that's already inside us.
So it completely flips how we usually think about desire.
Exactly. We usually think of desire as wanting something outside of us, something we need to get or achieve to feel whole. But we suggest it's actually more like an internal compass, an echo of potential we already have. She says, while there are so many things one could want, it's usually a very specific vision that awakens you on the inside.
The specific ones.
Yeah. Those very few things that excite you in a way that makes you nearly uncomfortable with your wanting of them.
Uncomfortable. Why uncomfortable?
Maybe because they feel too big, too bold, too personal. She implies that discomfort is actually a sign of deep resonance, a signal that this desire is truly yours.
Okay, so the insight is your deepest desires aren't pointing to external lacks. They're actually internal blueprints of your own untapped potential.
Exactly. They show you what's possible for you.
Wow.
And she makes it clear this desire is integral to who you are. It is part of you, even if you are not conscious of it, even when your ego chooses to shield you from your awareness of it.
The ego getting in the way.
Right. So it's not something we need to go out and acquire. It's something we need to uncover, like peeling back layers. The ego acts like a shield, maybe protecting us from the very things that would push us to grow the most.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about manifesting out of nothing. It's about doing the inner work and taking the courageous steps to bring what's already inside you out into the world. She says, what you are waiting on is your own willingness to accept the mountain you must climb in order to pull those desires out of the deepest parts of you and create them in the world you already inhabit.
The mountain you must climb.
Yeah. It's not about passive waiting. It's about active engagement with yourself and with the world. That mountain isn't just a barrier. It's the actual path of growth and effort required.
Okay.
So for you, listening, think about your deepest, maybe most uncomfortable desires, the ones that make your stomach do a little flip. How might you already hold the potential to make them real? What mountain are you willing to start climbing, even if it's just, putting on your hiking boots today? Maybe it's accepting a hard truth or starting a difficult practice.
I really like that image of the mountain. It implies effort, yes, but also huge reward at the summit.
Definitely.
And speaking of having the energy for that climb, Day 7 tackles a really common issue that keeps so many people stuck in draining routines.
Okay.
Maybe you don't need to find more energy. Maybe you just need to find a dream that makes you actually want to get up in the morning.
Oh, that hits home.
Yeah.
For anyone feeling just perpetually tired or uninspired.
Right, we're always chasing more coffee or more willpower.
Yeah, trying to force ourselves. When the real issue is often just fundamental misalignment. Wiest advises us to find something that gives back more than it takes.
Gives back more than it takes.
Yeah. The key, she stresses, is to stop trying to be good at the 100 things that do not light up your soul and finally choose the one that does.
Choose the one.
It requires deep looking inward and then courageous choice. Redirecting your most precious resource, your life force, your energy towards what truly lights you up, the insight being. Your true motivation acts like a compass, not a whip. Lack of energy often isn't a failure of will. It's a sign you're off your authentic course.
And here's the most, I think, insightful conclusion she draws from that. It's huge.
What is it?
You're not failing because you're not motivated. You're not supposed to get far on a path that was never yours to walk.
Wow. Okay. That shifts everything.
Yeah.
Away from self-blame and judgment.
Totally.
Towards understanding and maybe even compassion for yourself. It means your lack of motivation isn't some personal flaw. It's a powerful signal. A red flag from your deepest self saying, hey, wrong way.
Right. A message, not a failure.
It completely reframes how we look at our struggles, our perceived weaknesses. Instead of beating ourselves up for not being productive enough or energized enough, it invites us to ask, wait, am I even on the right path here? So many people spend years, decades even, striving down paths dictated by external forces, what parents wanted, what society rewards, what looks good on a resume.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't truly resonate deep inside, the energy just won't be there sustainably. Which underscores the courage needed to choose the path that does resonate, even if it asks you to risk, to lay your heart bare, to try again, even though you're scared.
That true path might not be the easy path.
Probably not. It might demand vulnerability, perseverance, but ultimately it's the one that will give you energy, not constantly drain it.
Okay.
So for you listening, Think about one recurring task or goal in your life right now that just consistently sucks the life out of you. Could that just be a signal, a path not meant for you? What tiny adjustment could you make, even starting today, to lean just a little bit towards what does energize you, even if it feels scary?
That's a beautiful way to think about aligning energy and purpose. Okay, let's talk about navigating pain, because well, it's an inevitable part of any real transformation, isn't it? Often intense.
Yeah, you can't really avoid it if you're truly growing.
And Day 9 offers this deeply hopeful message, almost like a promise. She says, whatever pain you think you are in right now cannot begin to compare to the peace that will one day come over you.
That's a huge comforting thought to hold on to when you're right in the thick of it.
Totally.
It really validates the struggle, but also offers this powerful vision of what's on the other side. Transformation, growth. She reassures us, you'll fall in love with life again, and it will be better than it was before, because you will become a different person.
A different person? How?
A person who's more capable of appreciating what matters. Someone who will not be as reckless with their choices. Someone who can no longer be so easily swayed or mindlessly trusting. Pain, in this view, isn't just random suffering.
No.
It's a profound refiner, a catalyst that burns away the less authentic parts and leaves you with deeper wisdom, more resilience. The insight feels like pain isn't purposeless. It's often a refiner that fortifies you for deeper peace and appreciation later on.
And that refining process leads to real, tangible strength, right? She talks about developing a new level of integrity within your life, which will transpire into better boundaries and a more stable foundation.
Exactly. So the pain isn't just something you endure and get over. It actually builds you. Makes you stronger, more authentic, more resistant to getting pulled off course again. It's like being forged in fire.
Yeah.
And she uses a beautiful analogy to describe how this transformation happens. It's not usually sudden.
How does she describe it?
Like the changing of a season. Everything shifts slowly until all of a sudden you were standing firmly in the after.
Mm-hmm. Slow, then sudden realization.
Yeah. It reminds us that deep inner change isn't usually some dramatic overnight event. It's gradual, often almost imperceptible while it's happening.
Yeah.
Like watching leaves change you don't notice day to day. Then boom, the whole landscape is different.
Right.
The pain, she suggests, serves a purpose in this inner shift.
Right.
Something also moved through you and cleared out what you didn't even realize was standing in the way.
It's like an internal house cleaning.
Exactly. Making space for new joy, new peace, a more whole, integrated self. This offers such profound hope, validating the transformative power hidden within even our toughest experiences.
That's a really powerful perspective to hold on to during hard times, a reminder that suffering can actually serve us. So building on that, Day 10 offers a nuanced but really crucial lesson about truly letting go of what weighs us down.
Okay.
The journey is not how you place down what's weighing on you, but how you learn to stop picking it up.
Ah, that distinction.
Yeah.
It's critical.
Yeah, because just putting something down once doesn't mean it's gone for good, right? The real work is breaking the habit of picking it back up.
It's a subtle but really important shift. It moves the focus from just a reactive active release to a proactive active prevention. She talks about the strength of your resolve not to begin again.
Right, not to start again.
With the habits, the people, the thoughts, the behaviors that you know can only lead to your own self-destruction. It's about breaking cycles, not just pausing them for a bit.
No.
Think about it. How many times have we let go of a bad habit or a negative thought pattern only to find ourselves right back in it a few days or weeks later?
Too many times.
Exactly. The insight here is crucial. True release isn't just a one-time act of dropping something heavy. It's the continuous conscious practice of not re-engaging with it.
And she really gets into the deep emotional work involved here, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It's how you release your familiar unhappiness, she says. How you decide you've outgrown the emotional crutches that have soothed you and distracted you and held you when you most needed it.
Ooh, familiar unhappiness. That phrase is so resonant.
Isn't it? We often cling to what's comfortable, even if it's painful, because the unknown feels scarier. And those emotional crutches, maybe it's complaining all the time or procrastinating or overthinking everything, or even self-sabotage, things we lean on out of habit or fear.
That's precisely the challenge. Those crutches, those self-destructive patterns, they often serve some subconscious purpose in the short run, right? They soothe discomfort, distract from deeper fears, maybe give a false sense of control.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they block true healing. They prevent real growth. And Wiest clarifies that the way forward isn't just stopping those patterns.
What else?
It's actively choosing what to replace them with. How you move forward is what you begin to reach for in their place.
Replacement, not just removal.
Exactly. It's about intentional redirection, consciously building new, healthier patterns. So if your go-to crutch when you feel anxious is mindlessly scrolling social media, what healthy supportive action will you consciously choose to reach for instead? Maybe it's 5 minutes of deep breathing or a quick walk outside or calling a friend who lifts you up.
Yeah.
So for you listening, identify maybe one recurring self-destructive pattern, one familiar unhappiness you keep picking back up. What will you actively choose to reach for instead, starting today?
That's a really direct, actionable step towards real change. Love that. And speaking of challenging our usual perspectives, Day 11 delivers a message that feels truly liberating, especially because it pushes back against all that pressure towards, like, toxic positivity.
Oh, this is a good one. What does she say?
You do not have to be grateful for everything in your life.
Amen to that. Phew.
Right. What a relief to hear that sometimes.
It's such an important point in our culture right now where there's this constant pressure to be positive and grateful 24/7, no matter how you actually feel.
Yeah, just slap a grateful sticker on it.
Right. And Wiest explicitly lists things you don't need to force gratitude for. What you survived, for what you didn't know, for the lessons learned too hard, or for systemic unfairness, injustices that just exist.
She validates the pain.
She validates the struggle, the difficulty of real life.
Yeah.
But, and this is crucial, she adds a nuance.
Which is?
Even in the middle of the storm, when you stumble upon a glimmer of appreciation, I hope you will hold on to that. It's about noticing and holding on to the small lights, the genuine moments of grace or beauty, without denying the reality of the darkness or difficulty that might also be there. The insight is key. Authentic gratitude comes from genuine appreciation, not from forced positivity or denying your real pain.
And embracing that nuanced perspective allows for a much richer, more authentic human experience, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
She emphasizes our capacity to allow yourself to contain more than one truth, that not every phase of your life will tell the same story.
Life isn't neat. We aren't neat.
Exactly. We can hold contradictions. It's okay.
That's really the essence of living an integrated, emotionally honest life. She highlights the powerful idea that our greatest dreams and our deepest fears may coexist, and the existence of one does not negate or lessen the other.
Both can be true at once.
Yes. You can feel hopeful and scared about the future. You can feel joy about a new beginning and grief for what ended, enthusiasm and apprehension. One doesn't cancel the other out. It's all part of your unique mosaic.
Yeah.
And the profound conclusion she draws is that the very moment that you honor where you are with complete surrender, you open to the next experience life wants to offer.
Surrender opens the door.
Yeah. It's about accepting your present reality in its full, complex truth, however messy it is, which then frees you up to move forward without fighting yourself.
Okay.
So for you, listening, how can you allow for the complexity of your own experiences today? Honor both the tough feelings and the beautiful moments without needing to suppress or negate either one.
That's a beautiful invitation to just accept ourselves more fully. Okay, let's move to day 12, which kind of zooms out, broadens our perspective on being present, and touches on our irreplaceable role in the bigger picture. Heal your relationship to the now, to the moment, to the liminal space. It brings us back to presence, but with this really profound, almost cosmic scope.
Yeah, it connects our inner state to our place in the universe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She explains that in any given moment, especially those uncertain in-between moments, the liminal space, we have a choice.
What's the choice?
She says, your eyes can contract and see fear, or expand and realize that you are one particle in this massive daydream, and without you, the fabric of a world would not hold the way it does.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful reframe.
Isn't it? It transforms those moments where we might feel small or scared or insignificant into opportunities to recognize our vital, unique part in the whole grand scheme. You're not just watching. You're an active thread in the cosmic tapestry. The insight. Your presence, uniquely you, is actually indispensable to the fabric of reality.
And this is where the validation feels so deep, cutting through any feelings of being lost or pointless. She says, without you being here, nothing, not one single thing would be precisely the same. You are an integral, irreplaceable thing. You came here to do what only you can.
That's not just generic self-help talk. That's a deep, powerful affirmation of your inherent worth and purpose. It speaks to this sense of individual destiny woven into a collective story. It absolutely is. It gives you this powerful sense of purpose and belonging, grounding your personal actions in something much larger. It kind of alleviates that pressure to go out and find your purpose.
Right.
Suggesting instead that your purpose is inherent just in you being uniquely you, she urges us, release yourself into the dreamscape and follow your heart's deepest calling, as it is leading you to the actions that will continue to weave your life into the story of humanity.
Follow your heart's calling.
Yeah. It suggests that just by being authentically yourself, by honoring that inner compass, you're already contributing uniquely and indispensably to the world. You're shaping the collective story simply by living your own, which is incredibly empowering for anyone feeling lost or burdened by that search for meaning.
What a truly beautiful thought to carry with us, that reminder of our inherent value. Okay, finally, let's wrap up our exploration with day 13. This one offers a really crucial lesson for navigating our desires and dealing with those inevitable setbacks, or what feel like rejections.
Okay, navigating rejection, always relevant.
Right. Wiest states it quite simply. You tell life what you want, and life tells you how to get it.
Okay, sounds simple, but probably isn't.
Well, it's about the dialogue. It's not just cause and effect, like ordering from a menu. It's a dynamic conversation between your intention and reality. She gives these really concrete, relatable examples, like you ask for soulmate love, and life might respond, okay, but not with them. Or you ask for prosperity, and life says, sure, but not like this. Or you seek belonging, and the answer is yes, but not here.
So these aren't denials.
In her framework, no. They're highly specific directions, course corrections, the insight being life's no isn't always a flat denial. It's often a not like that or not here, guiding you towards a path that's actually more aligned for you.
Okay, I like that. It's guidance, not just a slam door.
Exactly. And this leads to the core reframe, which is just so incredibly important for building resilience and keeping an expansive mindset. What feels on the surface like rejection is often redirection.
Rejection is redirection. That's a game changer.
Totally. It changes how we interpret disappointment, how we process those doors that seem to close in our face. It transforms potential heartbreak or failure into intelligent guidance.
It really transforms what we might see as failure or a setback or being denied something into, well, intelligent, maybe even divine guidance. It encourages us to trust that if something doesn't work out the way we planned, it's not necessarily a dead end. It might just be a turn in the road, leading us towards something better, something more aligned with our deeper potential. When that specific person or job or opportunity doesn't happen, it's often because a more fitting one is waiting. And she concludes with this really powerful, motivating implication. When you ask for a big life, you cannot keep fighting for a smaller one to stay.
Ooh, say that again.
When you ask for a big life, you cannot keep fighting for a smaller one to stay. Which means those apparent rejections are actually clearing the path. They're making the necessary space for the grander, more authentic life you're truly meant for. They're essential for your expansion, often pushing you out of a comfort zone that's just become too small for who you're becoming.
Okay.
So for you listening, how can you start to reinterpret apparent rejections in your life, maybe even recent ones, as intelligent redirections? Nudges towards the bigger, more authentic life you truly desire.
That's such a profound way to look at challenges, seeing them as helpful redirects, not personal failures. Wow, what an illuminating journey this has been, really diving into Brianna Wiest's The Pivot Year.
It really has.
From that radical call right at the beginning, pushing us beyond just superficial success to embracing the incredible power of not knowing, trusting that golden vortex of potential. We've explored how to tune into that quiet inner guide amidst all the noise.
Yeah, finding that balance.
And redefining happiness not by what we have, but by how we truly live and love within our own skin.
And we delved into that strategic pause for self-protection, the deep fullness found just by being present, right where your feet are, and understanding how our deepest desires are actually reflections of potential already inside us, waiting to be brought out.
We learn that real energy comes from chasing dreams that actually light us up.
Right, aligning our path.
And that even pain, as difficult as it is, serves as this powerful refiner, promising peace and building inner strength on the other side.
And finally, discovering the transformative power of not picking old habits back up, embracing all the nuanced truths of our experience, recognizing our irreplaceable role in the big picture, and just now reframing rejection as that divine redirection towards something bigger and better for us.
It really all comes down to this continuous, courageous pivot, doesn't it? Towards the life you are truly meant to live, not the one you've just been told you should live. And as we close out this deep dive, here's maybe one final provocative thought for you to carry forward. If the pivot year is really a guide to uncovering that life you were always meant for, what single bold step are you willing to take today? Maybe even right after listening to this. A step to stop just dancing around the edges of your true potential and walk fiercely into that life, knowing, trusting, with unwavering faith that the floor will indeed rise to meet you.
That's the question. We really encourage you to just sit with these powerful ideas, maybe revisit the days or concepts that really resonated with you, and just see how they might spark your own unique pivot, your own journey forward.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep diving deep.